On July 4th, Maason Smith dropped a top 8, and we're going to go through it and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, we're going to talk about defensive tackle recruit Maason Smith, who dropped a top 8 that has, among others, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Oregon, Miami, USC, and LSU. I think we need to lead with LSU because all of the crystal balls in for Maason Smith right now had the Louisiana native slated to go to LSU. This is a top 20 prospect in the 247 Sports Composite and a 5-star there, and a top 35 overall prospect according to the top 247. And he is disruptive. Midland recruiting analyst for 247, Gabe Brooks, compares him to Eddie Goldman, who went to Florida State. But really, when you're talking about these defensive tackles, sometimes the stats just are ridiculous. 82 tackles for him last year, 24 tackles for loss, and 10 sacks. There's a reason why this mammoth of a child is being so heavily recruited. But I think the monkey wrench here, the thing that you're going to throw into the gears, is Korey Foreman. Because Korey Foreman is being heavily recruited by Clemson, USC, and others, right? But he reopened his recruitment after having been a Clemson commit for some time last April, in large part because he wanted to take a visit to USC. Goes to Centennial, which is right outside of there, and he has friends that already go to school there and are on the football team. Now, Korey Foreman and Maason Smith have said that they want to play football together, which is why many LSU stands are of the opinion that Maason Smith is not only going to LSU, but he's bringing Korey Foreman with him, as if to say that Maason Smith has more sway on their friendship than Korey Foreman does, and rankings don't matter much. I'm interested to see how this goes because, one, 6'5", 316 pounds coming out the box is nothing to smile at. Two, he fits right in at that Glenn Dorsey kind of position at LSU in Bo Pelini's defense. I mean, it's a natural glove fit, and him being from the area, you got to know that Ed Orgeron is coming on with the come on. But listing Oklahoma in his top 8 feels sort of like a stretch, but between Calvin Thibodeau and Jamar Cain, you could see it being a thing that comes into fruition. Where it gets wonky, though, is Korey Foreman. Now, it's not that I don't think that any one of these places would not take Korey Foreman and Maason Smith as a package, because goodness knows that the right or left side of your defensive line would be elite and one of the best in the country right away. It's about, do the scholarships match up, and does the scholarship distribution chart match up, right? That's what you're really talking about. So with Oklahoma, you would have to do some moving and some shaking to make it fit, the same way that you would have to do some moving and some shaking with Marcel Brooks to make it fit. Which is interesting, right? Because one of the things that I'm learning about LSU is just how many players they have that could play a different position. Not to say that Maason Smith's going to play anything other than defensive tackle, but you look at Korey Foreman, you see a lot of Caleb on Chasen. And what I'm basing that on is Marcel Brooks, right? Because I'm watching last night at the Young household during all of the recruiting hoopla and me being basically in the studio for most of the day. One of the things that I was doing was watching old college football games on ESPN, old being last year. I watched Penn State, Michigan, Dax Hill lining up over the top of KJ Hamler, and that game was much closer than we remember it being. Another game I watched was Florida and LSU, and one of the things that Marcel Brooks was doing was pass rushing on third down. At a stand-up, 4'9", my man took 2 steps in, performed a stunt, went back inside, and got home to Kyle Trask on a pivotal goal line play. Like, it was really a great game to rewatch. But Brooks apparently wants to play safety. An edge rusher that could play safety. He could do that at Baylor, could do that at Texas, could do that at Oklahoma, could do that at LSU, quite honestly. But that's kind of what I'm getting at here is Ed Orgeron has been so good about securing talent and then making sure that talent sees the field in one way, shape, or another. Because if you know you got Grant Delpit returning and Jacoby Stevens and Kerry Vincent, you can see how there's kind of a logjam at safety. But a 5-star outside linebacker type like Marcel Brooks needs to be on the football field. And that would be another reason I think that Maason Smith would be at LSU is they're going to put him in there, and they're going to put him in there right away. The day of not playing freshmen is gone, especially with the 4-game redshirt rule, which allows you that opportunity to basically get them into games, get them meaningful snaps, get them under the lights, and really develop depth when it matters is paramount. Now you can do that. And when you have 5-star players, you feel good about doing that because you know that they have the talent to catch up, right? Their experience is going to come with playing games, but they're already going to be so far ahead of anybody else that they're playing against at the same level. And quite honestly, if you're a 4-star high-value dude, 150 player, or a 5-star player, you already are more talented than the top 1%, right? That's just the way that this goes. You are in that top 10th of a percent of players, so your talent should bear out. That's one reason to believe that LSU is a great place for Maason Smith to land, but I did want to do this because he dropped it, and seeing SC in there, it's got to give LSU just a little bit of the willies because they know what kind of pull SC has on Corey Foreman, and they know that Maason Smith is much more likely to play with Corey Foreman than to split the pair, but we got 5 months till early signing period, right? And now it's a question about whether or not we're going to see more signings at early signing period or at National Signing Day in February 2020. So a bit about Maason Smith before we get out of here because I want you to know what kind of monster he is. Gabe Brooks gave this evaluation of Maason Smith. Possesses impressive size that is definitely college ready and translates to multiple fronts. Tall and wears his weight well despite being north of 300 pounds. Size and natural athleticism allow for position and scheme versatile roles. Mass manifest in impressive functional strength that fosters disengaging ability. Packs point of attack punch and also shows varied moveset. Shows good lateral range for a big-bodied interior lineman. Naturally, high center of gravity affects pad level and leverage consistency. Can tighten change of direction. Massive size relative to age could suggest limited physical ceiling in the long term. Elite defensive lineman prospect in 2021. Potential impact college player with early NFL draft ceiling. Now, the thing that I would stress about that is the size, right? At 316 pounds, he's a pound heavier than Penei Sewell is right now. And Penei Sewell is the best non-quarterback prospect for the NFL draft, according to some. But he also hides 315 pounds, which is another way of saying Maason Smith probably is going to see his body remade once he gets to college. He might even drop a few pounds, but be faster and stronger. All things to keep in perspective as we continue to watch his recruiting. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.